The autumn wind cut through the evening air with an unexpected sharpness. Thomas Brennan stood at the bus stop on Maple Street, pulling his collar up against the chill. At 62, he'd learned to carry a jacket even when the morning seemed mild. The November sky had turned that particular shade of gray that promised cold, but not quite rain. He noticed her immediately, not because she was striking, though she was, but because she was shivering. The woman sat on the bench, her arms wrapped tight around herself. She wore a navy business suit, elegant but entirely wrong for the weather. Her dark hair, pulled back neatly, caught the wind. She couldn't have been more than 50, Thomas thought, and she looked like someone who'd left the house that morning. When it was warmer, never expecting the day to turn so sharp, Thomas watched her for a moment. She stared straight ahead, jaw set, determined not to show discomfort. He recognized that kind of pride. He'd worn it himself for years. Without overthinking it, he slipped off his brown corduroy jacket. "Excuse me," he said gently, approaching the bench. "You look like you could use this more than I do." She looked up, surprised. Her eyes were kind but guarded. "Oh, I couldn't possibly." "Please," Thomas said, his voice soft but certain. "I've got a sweater on, and my bus will be here in 5 minutes. You look like you might be waiting longer." For a moment, she seemed about to refuse again. Then another gust of wind made the decision for her. She accepted the jacket with a small, genuine smile. "Thank you. That's very kind. I didn't expect it to get so cold." "November will fool you every time," Thomas said, settling onto the far end of the bench, giving her space. "Thinks it's still October 1 minute, then remembers it's nearly winter the next." She wrapped the jacket around her shoulders. "You're right about that." She paused. "I'm Margaret, by the way. Margaret Hartwell." "Thomas Brennan. Nice to meet you, Margaret." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "I used to take the bus every day," Thomas said, looking down the empty street. "For 37 years. Worked at Morrison's Hardware downtown. Started as a stock boy when I was 23, worked my way up to manager." He smiled, the memory gentle on his face. "Retired last year. Now I just take the bus when I feel like getting out of the house. Keeps me connected, you know, to the rhythm of things." Margaret nodded slowly. "I understand that more than you might think." She looked at him with something like recognition. "What made you stop at the hardware store?" Thomas chuckled. "Stop? I never really stopped. Oh, I don't work there anymore, but I still go in twice a week. Help folks find the right screws, explain the difference between latex and oil paint. The new owner, she's grateful for it. Says I'm institutional knowledge." He said the words with gentle mockery. "I just like being useful." "That's beautiful," Margaret said, and she meant it. "Too many people think retirement means stopping. But you found a way to keep contributing." The streetlights flickered on, casting warm pools of light along the sidewalk. "My wife used to say," Thomas continued, his voice softer now, "that we're all just here to help each other get through the day. She passed 2 years ago. Cancer." He said it simply, without drama. "But I think about that a lot. About what she meant. It's the small things, isn't it? Holding a door? Offering a jacket? Listening when someone needs to talk?" Margaret was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight it hadn't before. "Your wife was wise, and you. You're living what she taught you." Thomas shrugged. "Trying to. Some days are easier than others." "I run a company," Margaret said suddenly. "A large one, 3,000 employees. And I spend my days thinking about profit margins, market share, quarterly projections. All important things, certainly. But," she trailed off, looking at the jacket around her shoulders, "when's the last time I did something simple, something human, without calculating the outcome?" Thomas didn't answer right away. He'd learned that sometimes silence was the kindest response. "Today was difficult," Margaret continued. "I had to let 20 people go. Good people. people with families, mortgages, dreams. I did it as humanely as possible, with generous severance, with dignity. But I still drove each of them to tears. I still destroyed something in them. Her voice cracked slightly. I left the office and just walked. Walked until I was too far to drive back, until I was cold. Until I was small again. Thomas nodded slowly. That's a heavy burden to carry. It is. And sitting here, accepting kindness from a stranger who has no idea who I am, what I do, what I'm worth on paper. She smiled, and it was real. It reminds me that none of that matters. Not really. Not in the moment when someone offers you their jacket because you're cold. A bus appeared in the distance, its headlights cutting through the dusk. That's mine, Thomas said, standing slowly. His knees creaked a bit, and he smiled at the sound. Getting old is not for the faint of heart. Margaret stood too, starting to remove the jacket. No, no, Thomas said, raising a hand. Keep it. Bring it back to Morrison's Hardware whenever you're downtown. It's the one with the red awning, 3 blocks from City Hall. I'll be there Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. But, please, Thomas said. It'll give you a reason to stop by. Maybe you'll need some picture hooks or a new lock or just someone to talk to about life. We've got all 3. The bus pulled up with a wheeze of brakes. Margaret stood, the jacket still around her shoulders, and she did something she hadn't done in years. She hugged him, briefly, genuinely. Thank you, Thomas Brennan, she whispered, for reminding me what matters. Thomas patted her shoulder gently. Thank you for letting me be useful, Margaret Hartwell. As the bus pulled away, Thomas looked back through the window. Margaret stood under the streetlight, wrapped in his old corduroy jacket, and she was smiling. Not the polished smile of a CEO, but the soft, surprised smile of someone who'd been given a gift they didn't know they needed. The following Tuesday, Thomas was arranging paint samples when the bell above the door chimed. Margaret walked in, carrying the jacket carefully folded over her arm. She looked different, more relaxed somehow. She wore jeans and a simple sweater. I brought this back, she said. Though I was tempted to keep it. Thomas smiled. I'm glad you came. Can I interest you in some picture hooks? I'm told they're excellent for hanging things. Margaret laughed. Actually, I was thinking I might need some help choosing paint for my living room. I'm finally going to paint over that beige the previous owners left. It's time for some color. Color is good, Thomas agreed. Color is very good. Let me show you what we have. And as they walked toward the paint aisle, 2 people, each carrying their own weight, each finding their way, continued the simple, profound work of helping each other through the day.